bring a new perspective, talk, portrayal, and perception.
Reflect on many topics, friendship, love, life lessons.
The goal is to get you thinking, so tune in to the show.
We're immune to all the trolling, leave the comments below.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Trollproof.
What's up?
I'm Zach.
Achille.
And we have another topic that we want to bring to you today.
And we in the same building.
Yes, sir. Something new, a little surprise video.
Yeah.
So what's been on your mind lately this year?
I mean, it's been a lot. You know, it's the Super Bowl weekend. What's today? Tuesday?
Today is Tuesday.
Yeah, and so the Eagles won. Apparently, not a big football fan myself, but I know you, Zach. You probably had what, $1,000 down, you know.
Give or take.
Stay gambling. I'm not much of a gambler myself. I think a really important topic that I think I'm going through is when you're focusing on your life, your personal life, and the things that you want to do in life, your goals, your dreams. Your invisibility and your availability, they kind of flip flop, right? Your invisibility increases and your availability kind of just decreases, you know. And so tell me what you think about that.
I think that's very true. I mean, sometimes I feel like when you're really focused on your goals and when you're really doing or striving to do good, kind of go in ghost mode, you know. I mean, hey, you know, people sometimes. I've been like that. People are like, "Hey Zach, where you been?" Like I've been around. I'm just a ghost. You know. I mean, right now I don't have time for fraternizing. I mean, still know that I still care about all my friends the same way. You know, I still feel the same about you. I'll still be there if you need me. But right now, got this grind to grind on. You know.
Right. Let me take it a step further though. I feel like, you know, even though you have a grind, right? You should make time for the people that make time for you, right? And so in my mind, it's like, why can't you be on your grind and still, you know, the people that support your grind, the people that get behind you. So for instance, you know, if you have a lady friend and you say, hey, I'm on my grind, I know that you're on your grind, but let's make some time for each other, because I feel like this is a very relevant issue when people are, you know, taking care of their business and their significant other, you know, want some time. What do you do? How do you make that work?
Well, and that's one of the things that I feel like guys around the world have suffered through, and like, you know, have kind of fell short on. You know, like a lot of times that's one of the issues with our subspecies, our gender, and I think that's very true. I think that a lot of times when you're on your grind, you don't stop and smell the roses. I know that's been a big problem with me. Me being a 100% person, I know when I do things, I'm either 100% in usually or 100% out. Like I'm gonna go hard or go home. Like I'm not gonna really give half. Like I mean, even when I was like in high school or middle school, I'd either get A's or like low B's or C's, and the low B's or C's would be me not trying because I can't get an F because I'm me. I
can't get an F because I'm me.
But what I mean,
I'm done.
No, but I mean, getting back to the topic. Yeah, you definitely need to be able to make time for those who make time for you, especially when it's part of your grind, especially when you guys have the same goal in mind. And when you guys, if you're in a relationship or something like that and you guys are a team, you guys should have the same end result in mind. You guys should be like-minded. You guys should be on one accord. And in order to be on one accord, you have to have checkups with one another, per se. You know, just like, hey, how's it going with you? How are you doing? How are you feeling right now? What do you need now? I mean, and the same should go vice versa.
But I feel like, you know, when you say, you know, the checkup thing, that's hard. It's harder than people make it seem. We make it seem like communication is easy, and it's not. Because if you asked me, you know, what I wanted to eat, a simple answer. You know, I want a steak, you know, 8 ounce, you know, medium well. I can answer that. But if you ask me that every day, or you start getting more detailed, you know what I mean? It gets harder and harder and harder, because it's like, man, like I have choice, but I don't know what choice I want, right? And some people are at that stage in their lives where, you know, they don't know per se. And so when I ask you to communicate how you feel and you can't, I already know how I feel, and you don't know how you feel, like, so I feel like we make, especially in this generation, we like to stress communication. Yeah. And we'll say, oh, communicate, and that's via text, Facebook, Instagram, all of those social media platforms. But communication has never been that easy, and I feel like we make it seem like it's easy. And so what happens with our relationships is they are, and I'm not just talking about boyfriend, girlfriend, I'm talking like, you know, friends, family members, they're shallow. Yeah. And the reason they're shallow is because we think that because we have better communication than 50 years ago, that makes us, I guess, like here's to having better relationships. And I feel like that's a downfall. Tell me what you think.
I would definitely agree, because even though I feel as though, I mean, I can articulate myself well and I can explain myself well, I'm still a bad communicator. I'm a bad communicator in terms of frequency. I'm a bad communicator in terms of necessity and frequency. I mean, and that's where I lack, and that's where I suffer. And also sometimes medium as well. Frequency, you know, necessity, and medium. And when I say medium, let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question. What do you think about it? I think you might know where I'm going right here.
Like, do you like talking on the phone? That's what I feel.
Well, kind of. That's kind of where I'm going. So, I mean, all growing up. I mean, ever since I was about 13 years old. Yeah. I realized that I never liked talking on the phone. I mean, because I felt burdened.
Okay.
You know, I felt like I was being inhibited from doing what I actually wanted to do.
Okay.
I mean, and not that I don't want to talk to you, but I'd much rather talk in person than the phone. And I'd much rather, of course, text. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, when I was 13, I don't know. Text wasn't too big, but I think I could text at like 14 or something like that. I mean, I think it just started getting big like that year. But I've never been like a big phone talker. But to a lot of people, I mean, especially a lot of girls, you know, they would feel as though if you don't talk on the phone, then you don't really, like, it's not really sincere. So it's like they look at it like, okay, you only text me, so I mean, you don't really care, so I don't really, agree with it. Some people do understand it, but let me ask you. I guess when it comes to this, let me ask you this: is there a distinction between mediums of communication in your eyes? So, like, when I say mediums, I mean, is a text message more personal than a Facebook message or a Snapchat video or an Instagram DM, or is a phone call more personal than both? I mean, I would agree that face-to-face meeting is more personal than everything. I mean, I think that's obvious. But the other means of communication, is there a distinction?
Right. I feel like society has made a distinction, particularly the female side of things. And the reason I say that is because I don't like to talk on the phone either. In fact, I don't think that I call like girlfriends that often, if at all, unless there's like a really, really important like issue. But I don't feel like that takes away from how I feel about them. But we have to remember that society dictates our morals, our codes, our ethics. And in this society that we live in, if we don't call, then that means that we're being edged out by people that do call them. You see what I'm saying? It's like almost like competition. You know what I mean? Like, do I want to work for this company that doesn't call me, or do I want to work for the company that calls me? Like, no, I'm being serious. Like, I'm pretty sure, right? I was talking with this girl, right, and she was like, Achille, I really like you, blah 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 blah. but I never call her. You know what I mean? And I felt like that was starting to be an issue because I guess there were guys that was calling her. You know what I mean? And so she was like, "Do you really like me? How do you feel about me?" Like she was asking me questions like that, and I was like, "Whenever you're around, right? I never tell you no." Right, I take you places. We go out together. Like, you know, if you want to be to the WCW, you know, Woman Crush Wednesday, you can. You know, I'm not making it a big deal, right? I'm not. I'd rather be working on something in my studio, reading a book, being able to use my hands. You know what I mean? My brain. I feel like I can't function when I'm on a cell phone. You know. Yeah. So it's really relevant, man. I feel the same, but we also have to think about things from the other perspective, and that perspective is, you know, I really can't tell you what that perspective is. You're laughing at me, but look, it logically doesn't make sense. I can't explain it. But you know what? I feel like Trollproof is about telling the truth.
It is.
And we're trying not to troll. It's something that we don't understand.
Yeah.
We will never understand it because we think about it and we're like, well, when I'm with you, I'm so genuine. I'm 100. You know, how can you ask for anything more if I'm already giving you 100?
That's right.
You know what I mean? And it hasn't always been like that for me, but I feel like it's like that now. You know. But yeah, I don't understand it. I won't pretend to understand it. Definitely the female logic eludes me. Not to say that they're lesser. I feel like they just think differently. Yeah. They just think a lot differently. Yep. And that can lead us right into our next subject. I feel like, you know, this may seem a push, but you know, we were talking about divisiveness earlier.
Yes.
And whether you think that it brings us closer together or whether it separates us. And I think my analogy for that would be, you know, as males and females, it's our divisions that make us compatible. And so if they thought the same way that we did, then yeah, that probably wouldn't work as well as we would want it to, or the way that we think that it'll work. Because, you know, we'll always say, oh, yeah, you know, if she was more this, if she was more that. But if she became those things, everything that we wanted, we would still want something else. You know, because we naturally want more. But yeah, going back to the divisiveness, we were talking about, you know, the country, Democrat and Republicans. And so tell me what you think about that.
I think that we can, in some ways, we do grow together through divisiveness because, I mean, when you have polarizing individuals, I mean, of course, like yourself and like myself, it allows people to challenge their thoughts and to face the difficult situations. I mean, because a lot of times people don't want to face the difficult situations. People don't want to talk about things that are hard to talk about. And because of that, sometimes those things don't get talked about a lot. But when you have someone who will, or someone that will, you know, give an opinion so far-fetched, whether it be genuine or whether it be sarcastic, you know, and, you know, sarcastic to the point to where it's ambiguous and you can't tell whether or not it is.
Yeah, that's your favorite type.
Exactly. What can I say? But when you have that, and especially if it's coming from a large platform, it allows people to not be so, hey, I'm this box, I'm conservative. Hey, I'm this box, I'm liberal. When people say conservative and liberal, they put themselves in a box. And, you know, as we talked, the liberals have one, you know, a set of core beliefs that they rock with, that they go in, oh yeah, we're going to be liberals. We want, you know,
abortion.
Yeah, we want abortion. We want transgenders to go to everybody's bathroom. We want.
I'm done.
I mean, you know, we want more. I mean, whatever.
Social rights.
Yeah, social rights. Like, I mean, we want all the liberal stuff. Conservatives, you know, we want prayer in schools. You know, we want our guns. You know, we hate abortion. You know, that's you know, so I mean that's there. Usually, you look at it like you got that, you know, those sets of beliefs, you know, within each of these.
And we're being super stereotypical, but
yeah, super stereotypical. But if you look at it
that's
within,
what they all are.
within these distinct realms, these distinct circles, there isn't much Venn diagram overlap. You know, if any, yeah, and that overlap can be bred through divisive individuals, because divisive individuals might challenge even the lines of their own, you know, core circle, right. Or they might bring up some issue that hasn't really been discussed, and people are going to be forced to have an opinion.
Right. Yeah. I think that overlap is key. Like you said, there should be individuals that point to the left and say, you know what, those liberals are right on that subject. Yeah. Let's take that stance. However, the conservatives are right on this, right? And the overlap should be a lot bigger than it really is. I think that what happens is you end up having a Venn diagram or that's not overlapping, and or at the start there was the possibility of it overlapping, you know. And some people would be like, well, independence. And I'm just like, no.
Independence is a party.
Yeah, exactly. Party, this is its own, you know, little tiny circle. However, I feel like there was the possibility to have the overlap, and what the left and the right started doing was building a wall, right? And so now when you try to put it together, they just slam into each other, you know, and it creates friction. I feel like Trump's wall isn't just for to keep the Mexicans out, you know. It's also it's very, very symbolic of, you know, Democrats and Republicans. There's a big wall there now. It's so sad that since this whole like election thing has been going on, if you're Republican and I'm Democrat and we get into a conversation, it's like we suddenly lose respect for each other. You know, like that should never happen. Like that's like the last thing that should ever happen is lose respect for one another. Definitely. So yeah, that overlap is key, and I feel like we need more of the overlap, and you definitely do need people willing to challenge the current ideas, because I don't know how these parties have lasted so long running the foolishness that they run.
It's hard to say. I mean, I have my theories, but it's for a different show or a different, you know, a different venue of events, stadium. But yeah, I mean, it's tough to say because you're getting the same thing, you know, repackaged over and over again. I mean, you have people who constantly fail us, you know, over and over again in Congress, in the Senate, you know, in the White House, in the Supreme Court, you know, wherever, everywhere. Yeah. People are, you know, we're constantly being failed. You've got issues with Social Security. It's supposed to be, I mean, Social Security. People are supposed to, you know, really have that. And I mean, it's been dug into, irresponsible decisions have been made, you know, constantly, you know, from both parties. But, you know, there's not really much accountability there as it goes. I mean, and one thing, you know, that Trump proposed, you know, the campaigned on that I really liked was limiting the terms of, you know, Congress people so they don't become lifetime politicians. Right. Because when you're a lifetime politician, you establish connections, and, you know, you establish, you know, you get salary from different places.
And you're good. You're set. Once you make that one deal with the tobacco companies or oil, you're never gonna, and you don't care. I feel like you stop caring. You become numb to it. That's something that I actually want to talk about in one of our videos, is just what forever means to people. You know, people always talk about living forever, you know, and I'm just like, I wouldn't want that, man. Like that it sounds nice, but everything sounds nice. $1 million sounds nice, you know. More than what you have always sounds nice, and the guarantee that you'll always be getting that. Yeah. So security sometimes is is a hindrance to who you truly are.
Definitely.
You know, and we all strive for security, and that's the thing. You know, we constantly strive for things, and so they motivate us and push us forward. But once you get to the point where you stop striving and you're just like, I'm good because, you know, the way that my bank account is set up, you know, I got a checkings and a savings, but you're doing it the opposite way. You're saying, man, I'll have all this money coming in. I really don't have a care in the world. You know, you stop benefiting society in a position where you should be benefiting society.
Interesting. And I mean, that I couldn't have said it better. That's one of the quotes that I'm going to take away from this, is that security is a hindrance to your true self and, you know, your growth and blossoming, I guess, to what you can be or what you should be, per se. I mean, because a flower is going to blossom. If it does blossom, it's going to blossom into the flower that it's supposed to be.
Right.
You know.
Most def. Yeah, it's just crazy, man. With everything going on in the world, and you know, we try to kind of cover everything, because it's hard to make this a math class.
Yeah.
It's hard to make it a science class. You know, we're not trying to teach you anything. What we're trying to do is tie things together.
Exactly.
It's very, very crucial. You know, it's crazy that in our educational system, we stress being holistic. We stress being, you know, well-rounded. However, I feel like the education system, I don't know what has happened. The disrespect to teachers, man. I don't even know how to explain it. I feel like education is valued, but at the same time, it is set up like an interest payment.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? They want you in the education system as long as possible.
Yeah.
And because you will make them money. And so what they do is they compartmentalize now. You know, you need 8 years of, you know, basically a PhD to be able to get a job, right? Either a bachelor's degree and 4 years of working, or, you know, you did 8 years.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And these are entry level jobs, and so it's like, well, I was holistic when I got out, but I mean, working that, you know, $15 an hour for 4 years, I don't remember anything that I learned. I didn't put any of that to use. Don't ask me. You know, don't ask me what's, you know, below Ohio. Like I no longer know. You see what I'm saying? I'm saying that the system is created to sharpen us and dull us at the same time.
What kills me with the education system is that kids can get $100,000 in loans for a college degree, but they can't get that same $100,000 to start a business. They can't get that $100,000 to buy a home. They can get it for a car if they want it, but they're gonna have to pay a very high interest rate on it. So, you know, I mean, they know they're hooked on that. But I mean, the number one thing that they can get it for, that all kids get approved for, is college education. Oh, yeah. You don't need credit worthiness. You don't need any history of payment status. You don't need a work history. Right. You don't need anything. You're just approved. Yeah. Sally Mae, or what is Sally Mae called now? What the hell is the name? It's like some short name. I don't know what the hell it's called, but now they just approve everybody. You know, you're approved. What are you 18 years old? Yeah. Oh, it's like there's people who are like baby boomers, like who don't have their student loans. Excuse my language. Baby boomers don't have their student loans paid off. Mm-hmm. But it keeps happening. Sally Mae just keeps approving everybody. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're approved. You're approved. You're approved. Like, where is this money? Mm-hmm. Like, it's in the cloud. Mm-hmm. You know, like, what is it in the cloud? I mean, it seems like it's just generated out of the sky. Right. You know, this money for these loans is being generated out of the sky, and it doesn't matter that people can't pay it. Right. I mean, and it just keeps going out. But that is our... It's a pyramid scheme. But of course, and everything... I'm going to sound so much like I'm from Russia. Everything in a free market economy will always be a pyramid scheme. You know, if I could make a scheme, right, and you would spend your whole life paying me back, and at the end of it, I could make triple
what I gave you. And I could do that I could do that to an unlimited amount of people. I hate to put it this way, but I mean, is that right or is that wrong?
I mean, I think it's obvious that it's not right. I mean, I think that, that's obvious, but the question is, who's going to stop them? Who's going to do something about it? I mean, who do the benefits outweigh the cost? People want and feel as though they need, and I mean, some people do need an education to do it, to do what they want to do.
Or feel like they need to do.
They feel like they do because, of course, you need money to survive. These people don't have money, so they need to get a loan to get money, to get more money, and they have to pay back the money that they got to get more money with the money that they didn't borrow. I want to analyze like someone. I mean, I know you were talking about like head garbage man and all this. Like, I want to analyze someone who kind of started off at 18, as maybe a middle level, upper middle level garbage man, or whatever it might be, just a regular career that you don't need an education for. I'm just using garbage man as an example. And let's say they come out making 45, 50,000. I mean, just to say a roundabout number, and they continue to grow in their career, but they have no loans, no debt, no nothing. And let's say someone else, a person with parallel characteristics, someone who has very similar characteristics, it's like a match pair to that individual. Someone else comes up and they go get a college education and some common degree, maybe like business or something common. They go and get that, and they just get an entry level job, and let's say they come out making $50,000 or $60,000, but they still have their whatever in loans over their college tenure. Those people die at the same age. Who has more net savings? That's what I want.
But you see that the thing about college, and a lot of people miss this, is that it teaches you that you have to spend money to make money. You have to somehow give up your time, or give up I mean, really and truly your interests, right? So that you can somehow sacrifice to have more later. That's what college is all about, right? That's why we go to college. I gave up 4 years of my life so that I could come out and do something more, versus someone that's sitting there and starts at 18. They see the world for what it is. They're like, man, like, I don't want to have to buy another new car, because I know that new cars are really not worth buying. You see what I'm saying? They learn the hardships, whereas we're thinking, oh yeah, this buying this new car works just like my college education. Like, I'll buy it, and it will somehow accrue and reap benefits to my investment portfolio. And I'm being real, and that doesn't happen. So I think that college, when you talked about that, that experiment that you would do, I think that college definitely creates a bias in the minds of people that do go to college versus people that don't. They don't think the same.
I'm sure that people who go to college feel as though they make more net profits. I mean, people.
Oh, that's true.
People who go to college are going to have a superiority complex. They're going to feel as though, oh yeah, I went to college, so I'm going to make more. But I mean, who makes more on paper, actually? I mean, and that's what I want to explore, because those loans are going to hit you if you're really paying them.
Right.
And I mean, if you haven't paid them,
they're gonna.
If you look at your net worth, I mean, it's going to be subtracted.
Right.
You take that out.
Right. Yeah.
It's part of it. It doesn't just that doesn't count. No, it does.
Yeah. I agree. And if you look at things from that perspective, I mean, you're not going to be worth anything. You're playing a catch-up game that you'll never truly catch up, because they're going to be advancing in their careers, starting at 18, having no student loans. And you'll probably pay off your student loans 32, 33, 34, 35, maybe. If you got the job and you were actually making the payments like you should be. I mean, then you're playing catch-up. but by then they're already, or they should be, way ahead of you. You know, they always say, you know, if you want to have true savings, you put away $200 from since you were 18, $200 every month. You know, and you will have a great retirement. You'll have a great savings. Yeah. So, I think that there's a very big contrast in the way that people that go to college think, versus people that just start working out of high school. And the crazy thing is, I don't